I absolutely love it when I play a game I've never heard about before and get completely swept off my feet because it takes me by surprise and floors me with how good it is. And luckily, Showgunners, great name by the way, comes out of nowhere from a completely unknown and fresh team and knocks it out of the park.
And Marty Manson's back on the field!
The game releases May 2nd on Steam, and for that occasion, I am collaborating with Good Shepherd Entertainment to show you exactly what Showgunners is all about. And by the way, while I have you here, only 9% of people watching this video are subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy my content guys, it would mean so much to me if you made a simple click and sub to the channel. It really goes a long way in helping my content reach further, and hopefully help you in knowing when there's new content to be enjoyed. I'd really appreciate it. Showgunners is a tactical turn-based game in the style of XCOM, but if I have to be honest, the premise is a lot more enticing and the moment-to-moment gameplay much more action-focused, all while retaining that tactical goodness. It takes place in a dystopian future reminiscent of 90s action movies, where violence is dominating the focus of society's entertainment. Yes, even more so than it does already, where the most barbaric reality TV show you've ever seen has become so popular, people are literally dying to join it. So why would someone join it? Well, since corporations dominate this future, they've somehow managed to allow for convicted criminals, no matter their sentence, to join the show instead of serving their time, making these dangerous criminals popular celebrities. Regular folks are also allowed to join, of course, but the chances of survival are less than low. It is in this setting that Scarlett, a former bounty hunter, joins the show for reasons of her own, and we'll get back to that later. For now though, I just really need to point one thing out. Showgunners is perhaps the best looking game of its kind, running one of the best implementations of the Unreal Engine I've seen thus far. It's not just crisp and sharp looking, but the game's entire persona plays so well alongside it. The environments of Showgunners are tight for sure, but it's luckily filled to the brim with detail and dedication. Everywhere, clutter, lights, and various effects give these spaces a lived-in ambience, and it becomes even better by the fact that realistic looking crowds litter much of the background. The sounds as well are very much on point, and this entire soundscape and visual space come together to create an experience that feels like it's made by truly passionate people.
Fumigated!
But the center of it all is of course the gameplay itself, and in Showgunner's case, the tactical battles. The premise itself is familiar to anyone who's remotely spent time in the tactical combat or tactical RPG genre. Your characters are armed, fighting other armed people. Everyone has a limited set of move points per turn, and the end goal is to use the terrain and your abilities to defeat the other team. That is the gist of it, but Showgunners has its own spin on things. This is a story and character heavy game, and every level is handcrafted down to the finest detail, with characters offering context to situations or their reasons for being on the show.
Well, you popped your cherry, kid. Survived your first episode.
Just barely.
Yeah, well, maybe next time you'll stick closer to old Marty. You don't want to go it alone out there. Besides, why wouldn't you want to hang with a former champ?
As you play the game, the number of mates on your team will vary for reasons, and this variation alone makes the use of tactics and the ability to change them up very important. More than that though, is Showgunner's dedication to the very concept of variation. Different enemies come with different armor sets, meaning certain weapons tailored to take down those enemies will really help you along. Each battle takes place in different handcrafted levels, although there are similarities of course. You can make use of cover to make it harder for the enemies to reach and hit you, and vice versa. Certain battles will include explosives which can be used to take down a whole lot of enemies at once.
That's 2 in a row for the contestants!
And others still feature environmental dangers that require more brainpower. I particularly like the fact that the show creator himself has a say in things, and really doesn't want us alive.
A party, huh? What kind of party wouldn't be improved by some fireworks?
The whole building's been rigged with explosives! Our challengers will need to deactivate them, and fast!
The added challenge includes needing to disarm various bombs before they destroy the entire level and everyone in it, new waves of enemies that enter the field at various points, new types of enemies you won't expect, and even level-changing features like rushing trains that will smash anything they touch to bits.
What a train wreck!
Making it to the other end of these battles feel all the more thrilling when you've managed to outsmart the onslaught, but that's also owed to your abilities. The various characters on the show have different uses, and it's up to you to make the most of them. Scarlet is like a fearless 90s action hero, among other things having the ability to move across vast distances and to make an offensive move. Preferring assault weapons, she's one of the best all-rounders on the show. A guy like Tybalt prefers subterfuge, and offers among other things the ability to disguise himself and one enemy as each other, making for some fun friendly fire. One of my favorite characters on the show is the Vanguard robot, a massive industrial beast with slow movement but a powerful gun.
3 in a row!
But if the gun isn't enough, it can stomp the ground to stun your enemies, allowing your other characters to continue up with a full frontal assault.
And down goes the ogre!
Don't forget that guns need ammo though, and each gun needs to be reloaded after your mag is empty, requiring at least 1 move point every time. With a default limit of just 2 move points, this makes it all the more important to know when to move, when to shoot, and when to reload. Or alternatively, if you're out of ammo, go in for the ultimate act of physicality. I really think the secret sauce here though is Showgunners' attention to audio-visual detail.
Blew away that fume!
Every shot and every hit packs such a punch that it just feels addicting in a way no other game of its kind does, especially when you get those short and sweet cinematics playing.
And the challengers double down!
Other tactical abilities make their appearance too, like equipable med packs or grenades, and changing up your weapons or leveling up your characters to your liking outside of battles, and it makes all the difference. For my robot friend, I decided for example to outfit the old guy with a seriously powerful gun, and the catch is that it's only packing 1 shot per magazine. This makes it all the more important to find yourself in situations where your accuracy is high, as wasting your shots becomes all the more detrimental. This is by the way an important point, because even though most variables are known to you, which I love, there is some chance involved when it comes to accuracy, which provides a sense of excitement related to whether shots will actually hit or not, which of course goes for both you and your enemies. In the spirit of the show, a very cool mechanic on Showgunners is Fame. Fame is spent on passive, long-term bonuses that come with signing up for sponsorships, as this world, much like our own, basically run on sponsorships. And believe me, I know what I'm talking about. Fame accumulates as you dispatch of enemies, fulfill certain objectives, or play exceptionally well. Outside of battle, Fame accumulates when you give interviews on past actions and performance, or when you talk to the crowd, the loyal or not so loyal fans who are never far away. This is also where part of the roleplay elements come in, where the various responses you make also influence the sponsors available to you. And speaking of talking to fans, this whole feature is set in a traversable environment, where much of your time will be spent. Honestly, this part, although less endorphin-inducing, is just as fun as the battles, not just because everything is so well made, but because this is where you get to explore, encounter puzzles, collect loot, and listen as the characters comment on the game world and the goings-on around it. It even offers Metroidvania-like paths, where taking various routes can unlock shortcuts back to relative safety. There's even a hub area where you go post-battle to compress, and this is first and foremost where the game's background story is introduced to us. It's actually presented in a nicely hand-drawn cartoon form, and despite these sequences being a relatively minor part of the overall time spent in-game, the context they give to the game is invaluable. In a way, Showgunners feels like a game that's contained in a very particular setting, trying its best to never step out of its oppressive, dark, yet hilariously brutal and psycho universe. And luckily, it's only better for it. Because where other, perhaps bigger games try to do everything at once, Showgunners has a clear vision and executes it quite literally and perfectly.
That scum is not getting up!
In the end, it serves a story of revenge and loss, and of believable motivations in a world so far removed, yet eerily close to our own. And so, if you love tactical combat, awesome customization, believable characters, a dark story, and most importantly, a game made by passionate developers who know their craft and manages to make a turn-based game feel like the most action-packed experience, I highly recommend checking Showgunners out right now, and of course when it releases on Steam on May 2nd. Let me know your thoughts on Showgunners in the comments, leave a like, a comment, and sub to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, thank you so much to Good Shepherd Entertainment for sponsoring this video, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Showgunners.